When you're trying to have your baby on a routine or a schedule, a big thing is having solid feedings where your baby gets a full feed. You can really wonder if your baby is getting a full feeding or not, especially if you are breastfeeding. In this video, we will talk all about how to tell if your baby is getting a full feeding and how long a newborn feeding should last. But first, hello, my name is Valerie. I blog at babywisemom.com. I've been blogging there since the year 2007. I have 4 children who currently range in age from 9 to 16 years old. So how long should a newborn feeding last? The length of time is 20 to 40 minutes. That is actually quite the range. 40 minutes is double the time of 20 minutes. So there are some other clues, but for sure aim for 20 to 40 minutes. So why do some babies take only 20 minutes to eat while others take 40? There are a few things that influence that. One can be how much milk mom has. Another is how fast the milk comes out. The faster the flow, the faster you can eat. Another big factor will be how fast can baby drink. Some babies can really chug it and others need to take their time. Another factor will be how strong of a sucker baby is and also how much baby needs. A baby who only needs 2 ounces will eat faster probably than a baby who needs 4 ounces. Or at least that same baby will eat faster needing 2 ounces than 4 ounces. If you are breastfeeding, you want to aim for 10 minutes per side at the very least. So at the very least, you will have 20 minutes total of breastfeeding. Something very important to be aware of and accept is that for a newborn, sleep does not mean I'm full. Newborns typically are quite sleepy and will get even sleepier when eating, especially a breastfeeding baby, because oxytocin's in the milk. Oxytocin makes you sleepy. So eating is going to make baby sleepy. It can also kind of wear baby out, and so it makes baby a little more tired. Plus, newborns are just sleepy. They sleep a lot. So sleepiness will also affect how long your baby takes to eat. A newborn who is falling asleep every 2 minutes during the feeding is going to take longer than a newborn who stays awake for 5 minutes before falling asleep. So you really want to work to help keep your newborn awake to get that full feeding, but that's also why there's such a range in the newborns with how long they take to eat. I also want to caution you that if your newborn is taking a power nap during eating, that will negatively affect naps. Eating is part of your baby's wake time, and so if your baby is napping, then it's like taking this little power nap that makes it so your baby isn't as tired when it comes time for nap, or won't take as long of a nap as she would have if she had stayed awake. So your newborn's probably going to fall asleep while eating, but don't take like a 5 to 10 minute breather and let your baby just eat. Like, wake your baby up, focus on the feeding, get that feeding done before we move on to the nap time. So a good indication if your baby is ready to move on to the next side is by counting sucks. A baby who is actively eating will typically follow a suck, 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 swallow pattern. So baby will suck, 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 swallow, suck, 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 swallow. If your baby is suck, 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 then your baby's asleep. So that's a good indication baby's asleep, because newborns typically eat with their eyes closed even if they're awake. So if your baby is just sucking without ever swallowing, then your baby's fallen asleep. Wake baby up. If your baby is sucking 4 to 5 times before swallowing, then it's probably time to switch sides and get going on the next side. So if you're wondering if your baby was getting enough food, which is a big indication if the feeding was long enough or not, there are some things to watch. You want to watch your baby's growth, disposition, and diaper output. If your baby is content and happy, sleeping well, growing well, staying on that growth curve, like some babies are just smaller, some are just bigger, but you really want your baby to stay on that growth curve and not start to dip. If your baby starts to fall off of the growth curve, then you start to be concerned. If your baby's staying on that growth curve, things are good. You also want enough wet and dirty diapers. Those things all tell you, yes, baby's getting a full feeding, so the length of time that's happening is good. Always be aware that things like growth spurts happen, so those happen every 3 to 4 weeks. If you want to learn more about growth spurts, I have a post, I have a video about it, so check those out. But there will be times when your used to be content baby is going to need to eat more often. And sometimes they'll eat for a longer time, sometimes they just eat more often, sometimes it's both. But watch for growth spurts. Sometimes babies are eating for enough time, but they're actually struggling getting enough nutrients or enough milk because of a lip tie or a tongue tie. So if you feel like, I think baby's eating for enough time, well, check and see if your baby has a lip tie or a tongue tie, because that will negatively affect how much food your baby's able to intake. Finally, I will wrap up with some key points to make sure you focus on to make sure your newborn gets enough feedings and eats long enough. First, make sure you wake your newborn when it is time to eat. Newborns should eat every 2.5 to 3 hours, unless it's a growth spurt, and then they'll eat more often. But if baby is peacefully sleeping and it's time to eat, yes, you want to wake them up in order to get that food that they need. Work to keep your baby up during that feeding. That really helps make sure you get a full feeding, make sure your baby isn't snacking, and really helps with the sleep schedule. Finally, as you are feeding a newborn, you really need to focus on the newborn. You can't have distractions. You need to put your phone down, put the book down, probably even turn off the TV. This doesn't last forever. Newborns grow to be independent eaters where you can read or scroll Facebook or something while your baby's eating. But initially, you really need to pay attention to your newborn and help make sure your newborn is staying awake and getting that full feeding. Okay, now you know how long a newborn feeding should last, what to watch for, and key points to focus on. So these things can help you get your newborn getting an appropriate length of feed, make sure your newborn is getting enough food. Thanks for watching and have a great day.